CASA is a nonprofit that recruits, screens, trains, and supervises volunteers from the community to advocate for children who've been abused or neglected.
Well, when I think of CASA, I think of people. I think of the kids themselves and then their volunteers.
The judge will say, I would like to have this child have a CASA volunteer. And that volunteer meets with the child once a week for an hour, and once a month they report back to the judge.
CASA gives the court another set of eyes and ears to obtain information to assist us in making the best decisions regarding those children. And even more important, it provides a source of support for the child themselves.
The advocate can tell the judge what the child would like the judge to know.
In the perfect world, the judge would go out and speak to the kids directly and say, what's really going on? Are things that bad? Are things getting better? And so on and so forth. We don't have an opportunity to do that. But the CASA volunteer, the CASA advocate, can help obtain that information and provide it to the court.
Primary role is, first of all, to make sure that that child is safe, that he's never abused again, to make sure their needs are met.
The judges love to get their CASA reports. We hear it all of the time.
They routinely will write up those reports, forward those to the court file, and then the judge has an opportunity to review those reports, which assists it in making a decision.
We needed to be very specific on what the facts were and not our opinions.
The child gets this really wonderful sense that this is a person I can count on. This is what normal looks like. This is how adults should be with children.
It just gives the court a better opportunity to gauge the future.
We do a lot of training of our advocates. There's an initial 40-hour training, and then we request that they get another 12 hours a year.
It can be kind of intense at times, but it was a lot of fun, too, because we were interacting with other people who were going to become CASA workers.
The advocate has to phase out as well. When the CHIPS order ends, the Child in Need of Protective Services order ends, the advocate's job is done because the child is then safe.
There was an incident that occurred with my family, and ever since that incident I got into foster care.
I was in church one Sunday morning and opened up my church bulletin, and lo and behold, there was a little article in there that said Brown County CASA, or CASA of Brown County, is looking for volunteers.
Growing up being in foster care, I got placed into 4 different homes.
She called me in for an interview, and we did a background check, and we scheduled the training program, and we're off and running.
Kids who were in foster care, I thought that it was more like something that they decided to call someone up and say, hey, can you help this girl out? Or I didn't know it was volunteered.
At first, it was pretty much, I'll see you next Tuesday. I'll see you next Tuesday.
At first, I was like, no. Let's get something straight. I don't need your help, and you don't need to be here.
After about 2 years, we were totally comfortable with each other.
She was the person who was there more than my foster parents, more than anyone else.
With CASA, you have to commit to 1 year. I made a commitment that I would be with a child. If I were assigned to a child, that I would be with that child as long as that child is in the system.
The hardest part was being able to understand that it wasn't only me that could help myself. It was be understanding that I needed to let flow in.
She has handled the situation she's in and has come out with a good sense of humor and a lot of energy. And I could see some real potential in growth.
As the years passed by, I started calling Grandma. I started calling Flo Grandma.
Celeste said, Flo, what are you going to tell someone if you run into a friend of yours? I said, well, I don't know. I'll figure it out if it happens.
Well, what if someone sees us outside, or when we're going to go shopping, what if someone sees me and says, who is this? Like, why are you with a lady?
I'll just tell them that I'm your grandmother. And she said, that's it, that's great.
That's perfect because it fits you. Like, I would love to call you Grandma.
Ironically, we went to Shopko and we were checking out at the checkout, and the lady said, is this your grandmother? And they said, yes, this is our grandmother, this is our grandmother. And then when we left the store, I said, I don't think she believes you. Nobody gets that excited about a grandmother.
Flo and I, we did crafts to cooking to sightseeing, just learning about stuff that was gonna later on affect me.
Unlike our ideal where the child finds a permanent home, Celeste aged out of the system, which means that she became 18 while still in foster care.
We have been very busy getting things ready for her transition into independent living.
I learned by being helped with Flo was that I wasn't going to be another number. I knew that I was going to be, whether I liked it or not, going to college, that I was going to pursue something that I was going to love.
I am so proud of her and all that she's accomplished so far, and I just see that continuing well into her future.
We would love to get ourselves out of business, but it doesn't look like that's happening because the reports to Brown County Human Services have gone up every year.
The CASA volunteers that we've seen over the years are dedicated, they do excellent work, but it's really a numbers game. We could use more CASA volunteers.
It just gives you a very warm feeling in your heart to know that you've been able to help somebody.
Funds raised go to help those kids. That's what it's all about.
It's really made a difference in so many children's lives, and I look forward to continuing to working with CASA in the future.
We are here to help abused and neglected children right here in Brown County.
My story is still living on, and that I'm still succeeding, and that other kids don't have any volunteers that believe in them. They don't have volunteers who are actually going to be trying to help them. It makes me very sad because I feel that that's a service that should be given to everyone who needs it.